Listen to this clip by JD Vance coming up and their reaction to it, then I have to react to that. This is unbelievable.
Of JD Vance was talking to Miranda Devine yesterday, and he's still on the cat eating stuff. Let's listen.
And then what happens is 20 people move into a 3-bedroom house. 20 people from a totally different culture, totally different ways of interacting. Again, we can respect their dignity while also being angry at the Biden administration for letting that situation happen and recognizing that their next door neighbors are going to say, well, wait a second, what is going on here? I don't know these people. They don't speak the same language that I do. And because there are 20 in the house next door, it's a little bit rowdier than it was when there was just a family of 4, a family of 5. It is totally reasonable and acceptable for American citizens to look at their next door neighbors and say, I want to live next to people who I have something in common with. You blink your eyes in Springfield, Ohio, and you wake up and literally a third of the population of your town is now Haitian immigrants.
And eating cats and dogs.
Eating cats and dogs.
That last part was a bit of a joke, and this applies to Canada, US, UK, all over Europe, Australia. I mean, they look disgusted at everything he said. I thought he was being fairly friendly about it, threw in a little joke there, but let's just see what they say.
We can treat them with dignity and also call them cat eaters. That doesn't really work for me, but how do you deal with that?
Well, I think, Mike DeWine, who is a functionally really decent human being, he and his wife have, true Christian values, and they reflected those when they were dealing with the whole Haitian immigration thing. And you want to say, they're there because they have an opportunity to work, and
they're legal, by the way.
Right. I mean, we have always struggled in this country with an influx of a new culture. No Irish or dogs allowed. No, the Germans were discriminated against, and so with each wave of immigration, we see more and more, kind of historic.
I hear this a lot. So that theory, the theory that she's pushing here or saying is, we've had that in the past, right? Like Irish immigrants who are also, largely from the same culture, the same basic religion, but Irish immigrants, Germans, Italians, they were discriminated against. But what kind of follows from that logic is then, since that came to pass, then no matter what level of immigration or what quality of immigration you get, you basically can't question it without being racist, because there was a time in the past that some immigration was questioned, people got over it. So therefore, every single time you get a new immigration situation, you have to just map it onto that Irish or German thinking, and you can't even notice what you're seeing. Now, I'm just going to play a quick clip quickly here. Check this out. This is Springfield, where they have a third of their population was put in Haitian immigrants. I don't have from personal experience, like a huge experience with Haitians, but they do. This guy's black, so you can't criticize him for being racist against blacks. But let's just see what they say at the city council.
These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into... they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, y'all can be comfortable with this. I don't know, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them.
Okay, I would like to know how many of you sitting up there tonight go into the grocery stores here in the city, Walmart here in the city, to do your shopping. I'm going to tell you, 64 years old, and I don't know what kind of label you can put on this, but I'm taking my cart down the grocery aisle, and I have 3 immigrants strapped across the aisle. Seen me coming, would not budge, wouldn't even, and I've said
It's story after story. If you look it up, so these are the actual residents there saying their lives are being disrupted in a major way. They put in like a third. Again, it was tens of thousands in a city less than 100,000 people, from a totally different culture, and they're noticing like garbage all over the place. They're noticing like insurance rates are up. They're getting in accidents. It's not blaming every single one, but like when you notice this massive change, and then you say, oh, well, used to be like that with the Irish, so get over it. And she asked a great question here. She's like, how many of you shop in the downtown at the Walmart? Because obviously none of them do. And, just regular middle class citizens have to deal with that, who are kind of living. I don't get a real sense of racism from this. I get a sense of their lives are being disrupted, so stop the gaslighting. Another one here. Yesterday in the UK, an Afghan migrant, it's on video, stabbed this guy to death. And then this is like this sort of woke reaction to that. You have to hear this.
As far as I can tell, but terrible events in Uxbridge yesterday, reportedly involving, and I have to say that for legal reasons, a man who came here from Afghanistan on a lorry. I can't say much more about it for very easy to understand legal reasons, but the kind of people who are the kind of people I'm thinking of at the moment are the kind of people texting me to insist that there's some sort of conspiracy or some sort of cover-up. If somebody gets murdered, the only proper human response to that, in the very first instance, is horror and sympathy for the people left behind. Then you can, as details emerge, move on to anger at the perpetrator. That's perfectly natural. That's perfectly normal. If somebody gets murdered and your first response is delight at the opportunity it will give you to malign or demonize other people who have absolutely nothing to do with that murder, there is something very deeply wrong with you. But if you're on Twitter, you will feel normal. That is probably the best illustration of the mess that we're in that I'm able to provide you with. So I will say it again. If somebody is murdered, the only decent human reaction in the first instance, if somebody is, God forbid, raped, because there are a couple of stories in the news involving allegedly racially aggravated rape at the moment, which I can't talk about in any more detail for the same reason that
It's hard to even believe what he's saying. There's been a murder, a stabbing in broad daylight from a 22-year-old Afghan migrant, and then recently there was a rape of a 10-year-old girl by a migrant, and he's saying, he's telling people how to react, and it's like, first of all, he's putting words in people's mouths saying, oh, you're delighted by this because you get to dump on immigrants. Well, I don't think anybody said they're delighted or gleeful. I think they are horrified, probably more horrified than he is, because they're so horrified. But at the same time, they're seeing who does it. In those cases, they're brought in and they're saying, how the heck did somebody like that get into our country, are roaming the streets and capable of causing this? These aren't like little tiny wee problems. These are huge. And like, if there's any like murders in broad daylight or rapes of little girls, like any, and there are a lot, but if there's any at all, people, I think, rightfully freak out right from the beginning, because they're thinking, what the heck is going on? And then they're freaked out. Like, why is this not freaking you out? Why are you only concerned about, I shouldn't say only concerned, but it seems like, he wants to protect, I guess, people that didn't commit this, which is fine, because a lot of people obviously didn't commit that. But he doesn't seem to be, like, to me, his reaction should be, holy crow. Like, is this really happening? This has got to stop. And then slowly, think, okay, how do we separate like the good people from the absolutely terrible ones? But we have to make this stop. But he's more focused on, yeah, there's a few rapes, few murders, but let's make sure our reaction to it is fine. I'm just going to show a clip. It doesn't show anything too gruesome, but I mean, just look at this. They show a little more in a second.
Someone's been stabbed over here. Someone's been stabbed here. But
Guy died. Stabbed like a whole bunch of times. Some other kid got, I think he lived, but he got stabbed a bunch of times. And like, it does make, you know, this is like I guess a middle class area in England. You know, it's not the super luxurious ones where a lot of the politicians live, and they don't, I guess, see it right in their neighborhood. So they're like, oh, well, you better react properly. You can't say anything. And this is much worse than the immigrant 20 to a house JD Vance is talking about. But the general idea is people living amongst new things, I think, are allowed to notice, comment on it. Some people probably go overboard, or they definitely go overboard. But they should be able to notice, comment, say what they don't like, and try to get it changed, and not only focus on the innocent people from that group. Just sort of say, here's what we're expecting. And by the way, we have a really, really low tolerance for rapes and murders, just to let you know. So anyway, love to know what you think. Please subscribe, comment. I always comment back. Share the video. And I will see you in the next one.